Well, hello and welcome to the Saturday Sex Show. So, we have a special guest coming on soon, and John the Preacher. John's a creator. He's a fairly new creator. He's been at it for 5 months, and so we'll be taking a talk with John here and talking to him. For a lot of you guys out there, you wonder, what it's like to be a YouTube creator. How much work is it? So we're going to be talking back and forth here a little bit about it, so gives you guys a chance to cue in and see how it's done. What kind of work it is to get involved and do this kind of thing. So now I just want to see if we have John up here, and here we are. So start. Okay, so he'll be coming on any second here. This is my have to be patient with me here. This is my first Zoom, so that's part of it is figuring out how all this stuff works. That's a big thing. And now you can be a YouTube creator with a $500 laptop, pretty much. Some people do it with a smartphone. But if you want to get to a point where you can do lives and stuff, you're going to need at least a laptop. I had an older laptop when I started, and I'll just see if I can pull in my display capture here. There we go. So I had an older laptop when I started, and we found that it wasn't fast enough, the laptop itself. So we're live streaming. So here we are. Here's what the live screen looks like to me when I'm on it. This is your YouTube when you're going live, and this is, you can go across your desktop. You can share it with people. I choose to use a green screen. Not everyone uses a green screen. We get rid of the capture here. And the green screen allows me to be in a little room here. And I can take the green screen off. I'll show you what it looks like. Here. Everything's gone. Just me in a dark room. Now, if I took the chroma key off, you would see green all around me. So the green allows us to put a studio effect in. Sure. Place yourself anywhere. You have to send them another invite. It's not working. Oh, it's not working, eh? Okay. So I'm gonna open up here. I'm gonna actually show you my display capture while we do this. Might as well. There's my display capture. So I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to return to a meeting participation, and I'm going to do an invite. Okay, well, let's just invite, email, and John. Let's see here. Should be in here. No, John. There we go. We were hooked up earlier, so we do know it works. And we'll just wait for John to get that invite, and we will chit chat here for a little bit. Now, for building a YouTube channel, what we found, the best thing is to have a purpose. To get on and just start talking, that only lasts for a couple of times. But if we have a purpose and we have an end goal to our program, then we have something that's going to carry us on. So in the EXJW community, of course, being in a cult and coming out of a cult and not having, like for me, not having having part of my family still in the cult, not being able to talk to them, this gives me a way of talking to my family, because it's just a matter of time that these family members will sooner or later wake up, and they will want to see what they missed. So every day on our channel, we go through comments, and we have people that write us, put comments in, and you guys can all see the comments as well. But people come in, and we had one this morning. They said, we just woke up. My family and myself, we all just woke up. We've been watching your channel, and please, he says, keep doing what you're doing, because it's really helping us. And so when you get emails like that, or comments like that, all it takes is one, and it keeps you going as a creator, because there's really no money in doing this stuff. A lot of people think that getting on YouTube and having a couple of videos that get a few hits is gonna make you $1 million, but there's no money at this at all. I think as a creator, as a YouTube creator, if you could get into an audience where there's millions of viewers, you can start to see a residual. You can make a living. Okay, so let's see here. So we have John coming in here. You're saying? Now, do I have to answer the phone?
It should be in your meeting.
Just what?
Isn't he in your meeting?
No, I don't see him. I'll put Zoom on the screen. Nothing's there yet. So,
Yeah. Sure.
do I have to start the video?
Yeah, start your video.
Oh, okay, there's me. Anything else I have to do?
No, I think he's gonna just get.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Hello.
Hey.
Welcome, John.
Hey, Vern, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. So I think our audience can hear you. Well, welcome to the Saturday Sect Show. Sect. Okay? S-E-C-T. Sect. We're talking
Right.
all about sex. We found you on the internet, John. You look like quite the sect.
It's very secty. It's a secty show.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be a part of it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's we've been big fans of yours right from probably 5 months ago. And what we did is, we're new to this community, XJW community as well. It was just, I say I woke up January, I started to wake up January 2022, so a little over a year ago. I started to wake up, even though I walked out of the Kingdom Hall in 2012. 10 years later, I still had all this Watchtower stuff in my head. It doesn't go away unless you replace it with something, I found, for me. And so then in I started writing a book. I found, and I was in it deep. I went down that rabbit hole head first, and I went down deep. 30 years. How about you, John?
I haven't been a part of it since the late 1990s. So it's been a while for me. But so I guess where you were converted, right?
I was 18 and I was chasing a girl.
Okay. So I was gonna tell you, so I was raised in a like uh religiously divided household, I guess you would say. So my parents got divorced when I was like 6 or 7 because maybe largely in part because my father converted to becoming a Jehovah's Witness. So for a long time, it would be Sunday school in the Catholic Church, and then because of like the divorce decree, every other weekend I'd have to go to the meetings at the Kingdom Hall. And then at a certain point, like I was about 13 or 14, like in the Catholic Church, they want you to do a confirmation
Mm-hmm.
to say like, yeah, I actually want to be Catholic or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't do that. I thought like, well, of the two choices here, like the Jehovah's Witnesses seem to like follow the Bible more. And it's kind of interesting. So as long as I can remember my whole life, I wanted to be an actor.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do like performance. Like I did all the school plays and everything, and like tried to go to auditions and stuff. And so the high school that I wanted to go to had a theater program that you had to audition to get into.
Uh-huh.
And so I prayed to God and I said, if I get into this theater program, I'll dedicate my performance career, my life to you,
Uh-huh.
in that in some way. And so what that became is I converted to become a Jehovah's Witness when I was like 16, 15.
Mm-hmm.
I got baptized, and then all through high school, like I was like hardcore about it. I pioneered.
Really?
This was back in the days when it was
90 hours.
90 hours. Yeah.
Really?
It changed to 70 in the time that I was doing it. Yeah, but it was so I was always out there. And I was kind of like, one of the things that attracted me to your channel was when you were talking about how like, hey, I actually liked preaching to the you were like involved with the Inuit community, right? And
yeah.
I related to that. I was like, yeah, I actually, there was a part of me that really liked it. So
the acting part. You
I suppose so.
Gotta be a good, like, I think as JWs, we kind of carry, if you remember back, you got a couple of faces, right? So you got the service ministry face, you're acting. And we go to the door smiling, I don't know. I didn't mind. I was really smiling, I think, inside. I actually enjoyed it a bit. I hate to admit that online in an EXJW community, but I think that's part of why I'm doing this channel like you. Just like you,
Right. Yeah, I think there's some similarities there.
When I want to just cut you off, but I want you to carry on with your high school, and I want to hear the story. But when I was started, I was 18, just got this job working for GE, General Signal, servicing fire alarm systems. And I was just studying, but I didn't get the job yet. I interviewed. And I went in, I was studying, and the pioneer said, put a suit on and cut your hair. I had long hair, and he said, cut it, and I did. And I went in, and the guy says, are you here for the sales job? And I said, no, I'm here for a technician job. He said, well, you sure look like a salesman. And he said, you sure you want a sales job? And I said, no, I want a technician job. And so he said, well, we just gave that out, and you don't have enough education anyways. And so he pulled me in his office, and he gave me a job. And he said, but you got to wait. You got to wait 6 months or 5 months or something to happen, Christmas time. And I went home and I prayed to Jehovah. I prayed to God, and I said, God, if you give me this job, I will serve you. I will serve you. And sure enough, I got this damn job. So I was just like you. I had to fulfill my it was an inside commitment. I just said a prayer, and I was just starting to study at the time. But anyways, I want to hear your story. Everyone on this channel is sick of my stories.
Well, it's funny because I didn't really tell anybody that for the longest time. It was something I just kept inside. And I thought like, well, there's Michael Jackson or Serena Williams or Prince or something, like, I could do that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was doing both. Like, in high school, I had done like a couple of successful sketch comedy shows
Mm-hmm.
that were very, very popular. And so I thought, oh, maybe I'll, be on, I can be on Saturday Night Live or something like that, and I'll still be a Jehovah's Witness, and I'll preach the good news that way, and uh,
Interesting. I wanted to. I quit GE. I did 5 years of that nonsense, and I couldn't pioneer working full time, right? So
yeah,
I quit a job. They gave me a company car, gas card, expense account, and everything. And my dad thought I was working for the Jehovah's Witness Mafia. He said, "There's no way a kid's going to get that kind of a job." And I said, "Dad, Jehovah gave it to me." And like my parents were worldly, right? They thought I was in with the Moonies. They thought I was in a cult,
sure,
and lo and
yeah.
behold, I was. they, I didn't believe it. I was 18, and all the way through my life, my parents started to respect the religion. They even came to the Kingdom Hall. But,
Hmm.
anyways, I want to hear your story about the entertaining and how you got. So you were pioneering through high school, 90 hours? No, really. How
Yeah,
did you do
yeah,
that
and then
through
it
high
became
school?
70. Yeah, and I was doing shows on top of that. Like, I was doing my comedy shows and stuff at school, so I was very busy.
And living at
And
home?
yeah, and I live it right. And so and I had, I preached to kids at school, so that was part of how I got all that time in. And so it was a weird, like, by
You
the
should be
time I
looking over here, eh? No.
so by the time I left, it was like, it wasn't really that hard for me to leave, because my mom, half of my family was not in it at all, and so they were like happy when I left. They were like, "Oh, thank God you're out," like they
So
were
so
telling me I'm
your
a
mom
Christian
was
and
the
stuff.
JW, your dad was not the JW?
My No, the opposite. My dad was the JW. My mom was not.
Oh, but your mom was the Catholic.
Yes,
And you went to Catholic, and so you went to the JW meetings and the Catholic meetings, and you decided.
and I made a decision. Yeah,
And did your mom and dad keep both? What happened? Did they divorce, or why did your
they
mom?
divorced. Yeah, when I was very young.
Why did your dad marry a Catholic?
Well, I mean, I mean, he converted well after they were married.
Oh, okay. So they were both just got married, and then one became Catholic and one became JW.
Yes.
Okay, that's
And my
different, eh?
mom really, yeah, she didn't really, like, I don't think she totally buys into the Catholicism. Like, she doesn't go to church or anything anymore now. But I think it was like a response, like, well, if you're going to drag him to that stuff, like,
Then
I'm going
I'm
to drag
gonna.
him to my,
Ah,
right.
okay, interesting.
And so I did feel like at that very early that I had to make some sort of choice. I didn't really consider the possibility of the choice being neither.
And you were like 7. 7?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
kind
So
of
that's
young to
when
make.
this is all started. Right. Right.
Yeah, interesting.
So yeah, I don't know if you ever had a family like that at your Kingdom Hall or anything, that
Well,
was
my
half of the, somebody's divorced and they're bringing their kids.
no. Well, no, that happens all the time. Like, because I spent so many years in there, I've seen so many different things, situations. But my wife is she was Catholic, and she learned to be when she was in elementary school. She became Catholic on her own accord. Her parents were not, but she studied and I guess went to the Catholic, and then then she got away from it. You know how most people, they learn it and it's exciting for a bit, and then you quit after a while.
Right.
Seemed to be the case, and so then I was in the Jehovah's Witness religion for 30 years, married to a Jehovah's Witness for 28 years, and then divorced at the end, 2012. And so I went my way, she went her way, kind of a thing. And then 12 years later, so I met my wife later. I walked away from the Kingdom Hall, and I wanted nothing to do with religion. I was so kind of disgusted with religion, what my experience, so I didn't care. I wanted a new experience, but I definitely did not want to marry a Jehovah's Witness ever again. It wasn't a good experience for me. But go ahead.
Probably a good call.
I cut you off there again.
Well, yeah, I forgot what it was.
You were talking about being in the drama class, pioneering through high school. So did you have studies like with other kids at school to get your hours in?
I did, yeah.
And they went for it because you're good at you're probably very you're very sociable, drama, right? So you probably were easy to talk to people.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of, I didn't like end up getting anybody to actually like get baptized or anything like that, but I had some kids that went to school with me that came to some of the meetings, and yeah, I tried to just be friendly with everybody. And so in a way like that, because half of my family was not part of it, and they were excited when I left. And I also like maintained a lot of friendships with worldly people during the whole time. Like when I left, it was not like, it was a sort of soft landing for me. I have a very good friend that I'm still friends with who was raised in it. And he had a kind of experience where he just like was conducting the book study one day and just was like, I'm not doing this anymore, and walked out and never went back,
Really?
And he got in touch with me because he didn't really have a support system on the outside. So,
Is this a long time ago or?
yeah, so we've been friends for like the last 20, 25 years or whatever.
Does he help you, or do you see him much?
I see him all the time. Yeah.
You guys do door knocking skits together? Would he get involved?
No, he actually, like, that was part of the reason, he wanted to do like a podcast about like cults, and like because of our experience and everything. And we could just never like got on the same page. We couldn't really get it together. And like, that's part of why I started John the Preacher channel, was because like he kind of set me down that path of like going back and exploring some of this stuff again.
So I want to go back to your high school years. So how long did you regular pioneer for?
A year and a half, maybe 2.
Too long, eh?
Yeah.
That's a lot of work, 1,000 hours a year.
Yeah. I think I've done my time.
I think you have. But this is more fun, what you're doing now. So tell us, how did you leave the organization? Like, obviously you're regular pioneering. Were they working you to be a ministerial servant? Because that's what they do with regular pioneers. They make them into elders.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, it was kind of weird because like the elders in nobody really said anything to me about like doing the shows at school or whatever. I guess they figured because I wasn't, I didn't do any like drink or do drugs or anything like that. I like pretty clean lifestyle. So they kind of let me do whatever I wanted to do with the shows and stuff, but that probably prevented me from doing anything like ministerial. Sir, I didn't really have any interest in that.
So your shows, let's talk about, these are like related to drama at school?
Yeah.
And
the school, I was in a full-on theater program at school. So part of it was like they let you, for your like drama club and stuff, they let you just like write and direct your own show. So it was me and a group of friends. We wrote a bunch of sketches, like sketch comedy shows. We did like 3 of them, and they were just like real popular. And then eventually, like my last year of school, we rented out a theater outside of the school, and we got like pretty huge crowds coming, and it was quite successful. And then when I graduated, I auditioned for the Second City Theater. You guys have a Second City up in Toronto, I think, in Canada.
We still live in igloos.
Okay.
We
Yeah, you're in the mountains.
I live like Canada's a small. There's not a lot of people. 40 million in the whole country. Toronto is the biggest. Then Vancouver, Montreal, Edmonton. We're in Alberta in the west, so we live right next to a million people. So
Okay. Well, there's a theater. There's a theater in Chicago. It's called the Second City Theater,
hmm
and a it's a theater that like they farm a lot of people from Second City to go to Saturday Night Live.
Okay.
So like Bill Murray,
hmm
like there's a ton of people. George Wendt, Chris Farley, Tim Meadows, Bob
hmm
Odenkirk. Like they're all these people went from Second City to Saturday Night Live. So that's the track I tried to be. I auditioned to there to get into their conservatory program, and I got in on the first try, which a lot of people don't. It takes a lot
Really?
of people years and years to get in, and I got on the first try. I was like 18 years old, and I had to because in the States, like you can't uh, drink until you're 21. Is it the same in Canada?
18 here, 19
18.
in BC. Every province is different, but we're 18.
Yeah. Yeah. So here you can get married, you can join the army, you can do whatever,
But you
sign
can't
contracts,
drink.
but you can't drink. So I had to get a fake ID so I could get into all these clubs and stuff.
hmm
But so that was the first thing that started me on the path of like leaving the witness, because at a certain point I became 18 and I didn't have to worry about what my dad was saying anymore. I was fully aware
Right.
of that.
hmm
And when you like this, the Chicago improv comedy scene is very cultish
Oh, okay.
in
Yeah.
and of itself. So it was almost like that, what scripture of, you can't serve two masters.
Right. hmm
You can't be in two cults. So
hmm
I started to just like,
Drift away from the JW. Yep.
drift away, sure, I guess. But here's the other thing. Like my older sister was first to convert.
Really?
Yeah, because she was dating this guy who my dad ended up converting.
Hmm.
And at a certain point, she was very young. They were like, oh, well, now you got to get married. And so she went into the religion before I did.
Hmm.
And then when I was around the same time, I was like 18. And she had a baby, my niece now. And she was just like, I can't do this blood transfusion thing.
Oh, yeah. So she
Yeah, I got a
quit.
baby. If something happens, yeah, she's like, I can't do this
Yeah.
anymore. And she was just like, and you know what? I'm just really not happy.
Good move on her
Like
part.
if this is what forever is, like being
Yeah.
with these people and doing exactly what they tell them, like I guess I would just rather be dead. I'd rather be in oblivion.
She's smart.
And I was like, good point.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're absolutely right.
Good point.
So that was the thing. Like I didn't like my friend who I was telling you about left. Like he went through studying the doctrine
Yeah.
and dispelling all the doctrinal stuff. And I didn't. I just was on the same page with my sister. Like, yeah, if this is what forever is, like, I don't want a part of it. So
Good for you
I
guys.
just like, stopped showing up. And
Yeah.
if anybody, I know probably some people that might be still in it, might be watching now. And in my experience, if you give yourself like 3-4 weeks where you stop showing up and you stop like reading the stuff and you stop the indoctrination, the brainwashing, like
hmm
that's really all it takes. Like
Yeah.
you'll start to think for yourself again, and you'll
Yeah.
start to be like, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense about birthdays, and this
hmm
doesn't make any sense at all. So that's just my perspective. I would say if there is anybody out there watching, like give yourself 3-4 weeks. If it's the truth doesn't change.
hmm
It'll still be the truth 3 or 4 weeks from now. But if you go through that 3 or 4 weeks and you're like, hey, wait a minute, some things really don't add up here, then go with that.
Yeah. Good for you. And that's the truth, you know. Like I think when I went through the organization all those years, there was lots of times I would meet. You know, we'd be out in the serve ministry with I, an elder. You know how you always click with certain people, and then there's
Sure.
a whole bunch
Yeah.
of people you don't click with. Well, I'd click with certain people, and I can remember one or two elders over the years, different congregations, and we'd be out in the ministry, and I'd say, you know, I'd say to them, something doesn't make sense here about God wanting to kill all these people. I said, who are we to judge all these people? You know, like this, something doesn't make sense here. And so we would have this discussion for a bit. Not everyone was open to those discussions. You had to be very careful who you would talk to about the JW stuff not being true. And I'd say to the elder, well, what if it's not true? You know, and he'd always say, well, it's the best thing so far. It's the best thing I know. You know, it's the best religion that I know of. You know, look at the Catholics. They're all, you know, the priests are all, and that was back in the 90s, like you were saying, you know, and they were pointing at all the religions. But now the Jehovah's Witnesses are the biggest thing on the news. You know, they're the biggest. There's so much sex offenses being hidden and things like that. It's all over the news. We do shows on it all the time. You know, it's just there's so much stuff now that I think if I was in it now, I'd have to be pretty blind and everything not to see it. But I don't know that, you know, once you're in it for all those years, it's like there's a way in their indoctrination, like you said that John. John, do you go by John? Is that stage name or is that your real name?
No, John's my real name.
Oh,
Yeah.
Springsteen, is that your real name?
Yeah. Yep.
Are you related to the famous Springsteen? Um,
Um,
what's his name? Bruce?
Bruce. Yeah. Nothing I know of.
No.
I
But
certainly don't have
anyways,
access
the
to his
indoctrination,
money.
like you said, if you keep reading it, give it 4 weeks, get it out of your head, it starts to go away. I think that works good for young people. When you get older and you're in it for a lot of years, and you sometimes it takes a bit more debriefing. Took me a lot of debriefing.
Yeah.
But my kid, my son left. He left like, you know, when he was your age when you left. He wasn't gonna spend a life. He got baptized and then just walked out. You know, just fade. They fade away. You fade away. You just there's ways of fading away without getting disfellowshipped. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, John, I want to get more back into what you're doing now as a creator and how you're expressing yourself online. And we're going to show the audience your website. Whenever you're ready, we can go through your website and
Okay.
take a. You want to do that?
Yeah. Okay. So if a lot of questions I'm getting about like why am I doing the channel and
Yeah.
what is it about?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I could say this is a good opportunity for me to shed a little light on it.
Mm-hmm.
If I could say it in one sentence, my channel is a doomsday comedy channel.
Okay. That's what we like about it.
And yeah, so it's if uh, I'm trying to explore like the themes of theocracy and cults of personality,
Mm-hmm.
all through the lens of my obsession. See, when I left the witnesses, like that part of me didn't end. My belief that like we're living in the last days, or
Mm-hmm.
that we're living in the Kali Yuga, or we're living in the whatever, like how every different tradition has, you know, the end of the Mayan calendar,
Mm-hmm.
and so this is just kind of an exploration of like uh how do you deal with, if this is your belief, like how do you deal with the face of it, and like sort of the phases that I've gone through as part of this belief that I've had for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the characters, if you scroll down a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
you can see the playlists there. I have Reformation, which is this is like this. These characters are all, yeah. These characters are all John the Preacher, it's not, but they're different. They're just like sort of different aspects of like my journey through this, dealing with the end of the world. So if you watch any one of these videos, they're going to have certain elements. They're going to talk about the end. It's going to present John the Preacher as the only one who's going to be able to tell you what to do about it and how you save yourself. And I'm going to be asking for money. And that element is in every one of these videos. And so, but in terms of like the different aspects of it, like, so this Reformation one where I wear the robe and I have the staff is kind of like me imagining, it's partially, and I'm always like partially like playing on other YouTube creators, like it partially kind of like poking fun at other YouTube creators. And so this is like, if I was actually going to become like a preacher on YouTube, what would that look like? And this is like sort of like my vision of like, you know, what that might be. But obviously I do it in a very funny, and I try to do it in a funny and playful way. And then if you go down to the next playlist, these are all the evangelism ones. And this is the one that an ex-Jehovah's Witness will really relate to. Because I obviously, like, the character is, this aspect of John the Preacher is me from high school. This is like a Jehovah's Witness, basically. But I try to actually, because it's like, you know, my wife, she helps me. She basically kind of like your wife acts as a producer on the show. And she is telling me like, oh, a lot of times, like, it's too specific. Like, it's, if nobody's going to relate to this, if they're not an ex-Jehovah's Witness, an EXJW. So I try to put Mormon elements into it. Like I try to put Scientologist elements. Like this is where I really kind of explore the idea of a cult, you know?
I noticed on one there, well, you have to study up on some of these modern day ones. Like there's some, Owen, do you know Owen from Telltale? You ever follow him? Oh, he's another ex-JW. Owen Morgan. Owen Morgan's his name. And he has he's been at it for a while, but he breaks apart cults. And I think there was a modern day one here. He said the cult said to throw money at him. If you throw $1, you'll get 10 back. Is that the one that you? Is that true? These cults are saying that, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, what I found is actually when I go back and look at some of the other like ex-Jehovah's Witness content, and I look at the comments, it's, you see like a lot of people that are part of these mega churches really relate to it. Like, oh, this is me. So anybody that's like part of a hardcore fundamentalist Christian group is going to be able to relate to this. And so, you know, when I was doing this, like the very first one I did, I tried to make it look like a background, like, you know how like Kingdom Halls are like just like windowless, ugly buildings with these like awful stucco walls and everything. That's what I tried to do in the background. And my wife is like, what are you doing? What is that? And I was like, well, that's how I'm in the Kingdom Hall. And she's like, no, you got to be in a church. Like, so
I like your church.
Yeah, so that's why we changed to like a church background.
Okay.
And so she keeps me honest. Like if it gets too specific, because that's my instinct, that's all I am familiar with. I know she's like, you gotta get back a little bit so it can be more relatable to other people who are in different circumstances.
I gotta say, when I first watched you, I seen you in the basement, in a basement.
Yeah.
Maybe it's this one Repent over here, down here. Yeah. Here's the one. Repent, American Repent. And I thought you were in your mom's basement. Like I actually thought you were a young guy. Like I thought you don't take this wrong, but I thought maybe you're 20, 21, 25 maybe.
Take it wrong. That's the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me.
I says to my wife, here's some kid working out of his mom's basement. Brilliant. You know, we started watching you, but now it's nice to get the backstory on you. You know, because you don't really get that off YouTube, eh?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know, I was actually kind of hesitant to do something like this because I like to like let artwork speak for itself and kind of be open to interpretation.
Hmm.
But I kind of feel like unless people come to this page and look at this, like they're not going to have any idea really what's going on, and even then, it's not very explicit. So,
Hmm. Okay, we're gonna
um,
play a video for everyone.
oh,
Um,
can I finish going through? Because there's
oh yeah,
one,
yeah, yeah. Okay,
one
I'm
more.
sorry. I cut you off
Yeah,
again, didn't I? I do that a lot.
that's okay.
I'm gonna move you right over here, maybe. I want people to see who you are. There. There, this might be better. Can you see the page
Okay.
here, John?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna go down the page here. Now, where do you want to go next?
So if you go down to the preparation one, just so I can explain
Yeah,
this aspect of
yeah.
it. So um this is like if you've seen those doomsday prepper channels, like this is this aspect of it. Because I went through this phase too in my life where I'm like storing up stuff in my basement, like storing up
Uh-huh.
canned food, and like, oh, I gotta learn how to shoot a gun and all this kind of stuff. So I went through a phase like this, and I watched a lot of YouTube creators who talk
Mm-hmm.
about like being prepared, and you got to be prepared for the collapse of society and all this stuff.
Uh-huh.
And so that's what's going on here. This is this part of the journey for me.
Yeah, we've watched some of them, the UFO stuff, the balloons when they came out. That was a
Yeah, and
good
this is
one.
a good opportunity to talk about like current events uh and then like this one is the bottom is like the new age. Like I've also watched a great many like YouTube channels about like new age spirituality,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of talk about like the 3D earth is going to turn into the 5D earth, and
Yeah.
it's almost like reminiscent of the witnesses in some ways, like, oh, there's going to be this paradise, and
Mm-hmm.
if your vibration's high enough, like you'll be part of the 5D earth.
There's some like 3,500 cults in the US,
Yeah.
different cults.
Yeah, it's hard to go after all of them. I'm going to try on my channel though.
Good for you. Because I think, like, and I think a lot of us coming out of the Jehovah's Witness religion, we realize that it is a big cult. It's just one great, big, huge cult that a lot of people are confusing it as a religion. But in 1992, they just recently, some guy who's smart recognized that it's a cult and wrote a book about it. And I think sooner than later, we're going to find that governments are going to realize, hey, we're calling these cults charity and we're giving them billions of dollars to run as cults. They're not even helping people. They're not even feeding the poor. Like there's no program in these
Right.
cults to really help people. It's just they take advantage of our, that's my opinion, of course. But
Oh yeah. Are you familiar with Stephen Hassan?
yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like his bite model.
Yes, I we use that.
You know, yeah, that's really useful. And yeah, I don't, obviously, like
Mm-hmm.
their cults are. I think it exists on a spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Some are more harmful than others. Some are more destructive than others. I think the witnesses are on the more destructive end of things.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, the improv community is cultish in Chicago.
What's it called?
They're
What community?
the improv, like improv comedy.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's its own little cult. Hockey is a
Yeah,
cult here, and hockey's the cult in here in Alberta.
right. And it's like, it's like, well, but if you stop doing that, like nobody's going to be coming after you or anything like that. So it's
Yeah.
there's not, they don't really try to control your behavior that
No.
much. Like it doesn't fit the model as well as the bite model as well as like the witnesses do.
Yeah. It's
And
the
some of
wit.
the,
Pardon me. Go ahead.
oh, I guess I just, and one of the things I'm trying to explore on the channel is like, do these leaders like really believe this stuff? Like, do they believe their own BS? I consider them just to be kind of like charlatans.
I it's hard to say, right? I think they do. I think they
I
do.
think so too.
You know
So
why?
when I get into character with this, like I have to put myself in the mindset of like, oh no, yeah, I believe like that. I believe everything I'm saying, and I believe that I'm the only one
Hmm.
that can tell you how to live your life and how to survive get to Survival Mountain or whatever it is, you know.
Hmm. I think they believe it. Because people are people. Everyone wants to believe in something. These guys want to believe in themselves. They're narcissists to think, but somehow they believe that they got into this organization that's the truth. But I think some of them are waking up. Like I'm wondering if that Tony Morris guy woke up. I'm not sure. I think
I'm
people have to be waking up now, eh?
It's a little concerning because, you know, I haven't for the longest time I was not active in like the community, and only since I started doing this channel did I find content like yours. And if I can talk about some of the other ones, if I can give a shout out here
Hmm. Yeah,
to
go
some of
ahead.
the other
Yep.
people,
If
like
anybody's watching.
I enjoy Darth Magog quite a bit.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've seen his stuff. He does like
We may have.
little
We'll
little
look it up.
cartoons and stuff, and he
Hmm.
kind of approaches it in a very like, you know, he puts a lot of creativity into it. His like analysis and
Hmm.
criticism. There's another guy's podcast, Surviving Paradise.
Hmm.
Um, Stacy Bowman. He,
we should make a list and get a
we
good
have we
list
should
going.
make a playlist for.
I know. Yeah, we got to get a playlist going because I'm sure we're only tapping into part of the market,
Right,
part of
and
the
I don't
people out
want, you
there.
know, it drives me crazy to be honest with you. Like I can't watch too much of it. Like
Hmm.
I have to do it in doses. You know,
We
so
found that there was a bit of like lots of angry people, a lot of angry people. But
yeah, right,
it's
exactly.
a stage though of getting out of a cult. You know, I know when I first came out, I was angry for the first bit, and then I
Right.
thought I got to start laughing about this stuff. Well, my wife kept telling me to start. She said, "Don't get too caught up over these words apostate and cult, and don't let it bother you too much. You know, don't like." I was letting it bother me. I took it personal, and I got mad at the governing body. Actually, I thought you guys either you know it's the truth or you're fooling us or something's wrong. But as I've learned more about the bite model, I've learned that these guys are narcissists, and these are I think they're feeding their own egos, fueling it. But
Yeah, I think that there's a big element of like they just kind of get a kick out. I mean, obviously, like they've got a corporation, a series of corporations, whatever. They're making a
mhm.
lot of money, but they also get a big kick out of like telling people to jump and seeing how high.
I wonder, but this is going to come back on them. I think. I think it's. I always use the thing: you reap what you sow. You know that you don't have to be religious to realize that philosophy or that principle. There's some truth to it. Law of attraction. You know what these guys put out is coming back. So if you put out enough lies, and if you put out, you know, people are dying with blood transfusions. They're dying. And if enough of that's happening, hopefully the whole world will wake up and say, this is enough. Enough is enough. I think that's where we're at in the world.
Yeah, I'm really, you know, having gone back to it, um, you know, when a lot of I've heard other people talk about this too, that like when I was a part of it, I didn't have any idea who they were,
Hmm.
who the leaders were. You know, the governing body, they really downplayed it. Like, oh no, they're just, you know, don't worry about that. It's all about Jehovah, and then, you
Hmm.
know, and I
Hmm.
just accepted. I didn't have any idea who they actually were. Discreet.
Hmm. Yeah, they were actually in the
You know what I
90s.
mean? Like
Yeah.
the faithful and discreet slave back then actually was discreet. And
Yeah.
then I turned back. Started this channel and started the exploration of cults and stuff. And I started to check back in and see like, holy smokes, like how, you know, how do you watch a Stephen Lett talk and come away thinking like, yep, king and priest, brother of Christ? You know, I don't get it. It's like
No.
unfathomable to me.
I think these guys with the internet now that came out, they wanted to be movie stars.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they did because if you want, at a certain point, like in those evangelical videos, like I'm really starting to channel Stephen Lett because he's, like,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm starting to do my mouth like this, and I'm getting into that. Because he's just what a bizarre man, Like I love him unconditionally, pray for him and everything like that. But
So
I think there's,
I was going
I
to
think
ask
there's
you
some
that.
unresolved.
Did you stay? Lots of people. There's different folks, and I understand both sides of it. But some people just got out of the religion and just said, you know what, I'm done with religion. How about you guys? Did you stick at religion? Do you have a belief? Do you believe in Jesus, or you just kind of quit it?
No, I mean, for a long time, I didn't think about it at all because I was just so wrapped up in doing my comedy stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and like that's a whole nother story.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up moving out to New York City, and that just kind of like kicked my ass, and I I got into drugs and alcohol. So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of talk about it in my channel in that first one,
Mm-hmm.
because it's semi-serious, some of the stuff I talk about
Mm-hmm.
on there.
Mm-hmm.
But
So if I scroll down these videos, is that under preparation or under?
oh, that would be under like Reformation, the Reformer one,
Okay.
where it's
Okay.
kind of more my a little more personal, like where I
Mm-hmm.
talk about my time as a comedian and repenting
Mm-hmm.
from that. So for a long time, I was just like I didn't believe in anything really,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean I don't belong to any religion now, but I guess I do consider myself. I do believe it.
Couch Christian.
Yeah, that's such a loaded word, but like I guess I believe in the teachings of Jesus, and I
Mm-hmm.
guess if I have a spiritual master, like it would be him.
Mm-hmm.
I consider myself to be part of his flock or whatever, but I guess really what I do now is more like being a practicing Buddhist.
Mm-hmm.
I try to meditate every morning and
Mm-hmm.
at night whenever I can, and just try to like live in the moment as much as possible and
Mm-hmm.
bring as much like joy and unconditional love into the moment that I can each and every day, and that's it. That's pretty much. I think it's pretty simple. That's what
Mm-hmm.
you have to do, and
I,
that's it.
I agree with you 100%. I think a lot of us go that route. I know I never went back to any kind of a church. I wouldn't go back to a religion that's just another man. The Bible, we all like to think the Bible's a holy book, but I often wonder, the JW's changed it, excuse me, so many times in 150 years, and now there's 10% less words in a normal Bible. So it makes me wonder how much of the Bible over the last 3,000 years has been kind of twerked and tweaked, and Jesus comes along and he kind of, no one really talks about the apostate side of Jesus. He turned over money tables. That was pretty apostate, I'd think. But no
Jesus was
one,
cool.
no one talks about that. They all talk about him just being this loving guy. I think he had an ugly side to him that he didn't put up with crap, and that's why they killed him, of course. But I think he just didn't care for the religious system of his day. I think he was kind
No,
of,
obviously not. Yeah, yeah. I think he rejected all of it, really.
and then
But he was a teacher.
Paul comes along and formed a religion, but the Romans wanted to make a religion. So then I look at the whole Bible and I think, how much of that's doctored just to control people? How much of it really got out? Jesus made it so simple. He didn't really, I don't think he said to write anything down. He just said, live your life with love. That's all he said, really.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think. Yeah. It's been so twisted, and but if you look at some of the his parables, his teachings, like they just make a lot of sense to
They
me.
do. Yeah.
And they're also repeated. Like I think he was a practicing Buddhist
I think so.
in many ways. Like he's always off meditating, and
Yeah. He grew
we
up in
don't really know
Egypt.
what he was doing for
Like he
most of
grew,
his life.
according to the Bible, he grew up in Egypt. He had to run there, right?
Yeah.
Egypt wasn't I don't know. It's interesting. And then there's discussions now about Yahweh or Jehovah came later. The word Jehovah came later, but Yahweh in his day, he never used it. Jesus never ever used the name, never
Right.
referred to it. So then there's discussion that Yahweh was the God of the Israelites, not really that there was a pantheon of gods. There's a whole discussion around that now that's being opened up. It's deep. Some of the XJWs are getting into it.
I think, I mean, I kind of actually, like, might sound strange to you. I kind of like basically believe the story of the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
but it's obviously not like the witnesses believe, and a lot of fundamentalist Christians do believe that, oh, it says in 2 Timothy that all scripture is inspired by God.
Mm-hmm.
And they take that to mean that it's like dictation, like written down correctly. It doesn't say that. The only thing in the Bible that says it was written directly by anybody was like the 10 Commandments.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally dictated down. So there, to inspire could mean a lot of things.
Could be, yeah.
Like Vern, you've inspired me with your YouTube channel.
Oh, thank you.
But that doesn't mean that I'm going to do my YouTube channel exactly the way that you do, or that I'm taking every single step, just the way that you tell me or anything like that.
We'll have to have a guru, and John the Preacher go somewhere and have a little...
Maybe I should.
You do a green screen, I do a green screen, and I could send you my video. We could each play with some stuff. I know for me, when I'm doing it, I say to my wife, do you want to come in and, give... No, this isn't for everyone doing this stuff. I realize that. Not everyone wants their face on YouTube, but I really don't. It doesn't bother me.
I don't care either. I know if anybody saw that stuff, they'd label me an apostate, and I'm cool with that.
Whatever. I want to show some of your videos. Are you ready for that? Should we show?
Sure.
Okay. So you guys in the audience here, you get a chance to you can go to John's site. John wants you to go to his site and subscribe.
It would be youtube.com/@JohnThePreacher1, because God is one.
That's how you do it.
It's because John the Preacher was taken.
Oh, okay. That's what it was. So you got 42 videos, 88 subscribers. So hopefully we can
anybody that's watching that likes it, go ahead and subscribe. Yeah, that'd be great.
Absolutely. It's funny. I like your stuff because I think laughter, and I'm agreeing with you. I like the Bible. I used the Bible for 30 years. I don't mind it. I see that there's lots of little places it contradicts, but I always look at it like Jesus trumps everything, right? So if Jesus says this, then the Apostle Paul says kick the prostitute out, and Jesus says don't stone her. I'm going with Jesus. I'm not gonna.
Oh yeah, and I like to look at the overlap. Like I read the Vedic texts that are even older than the Bible, and
Really.
Right now I'm reading the Ashtavakra Gita.
Really?
And there's so much overlap,
Good for
like
you.
I just look at where do all these holy texts overlap, because that's probably where the real truth is.
There's some videos you could make. So you're going to make, most of your videos are satires, right? That's kind of what
all
you're
of them.
doing. All of them. So are you going to do any serious
ones? It's a doomsday
ones,
comedy channel.
So this is a comedy channel. Do you have other channels?
Yes.
Do you have any other channels?
No.
This is
Nope,
it.
this is
great. Well, we love your channel. Keep it up. Keep doing it. This is great. Our community needs it. Now, I'm excited to play something here. Let's play one of your things. I'm going to take myself off the screen here, and we're going to probably take John right off here, and we're going to
take me off.
We're going to go to where I have it here. Which one do we want to do? The pole shift one first?
Yeah, let's do the pole shift one first.
Okay.
That's more specific about the witnesses.
Okay, so we're going to do that one first. Okay. Here it is.
Friends.
Oh, here it is.
Greetings, Congregation YouTube. It's John the Preacher. Welcome, friends. Are any of you familiar with the fantasy science fiction motion picture Back to the Future, where there's a young actor named Marty McFly who travels to the past and meets the wizard Doc Brown, who invents time travel? And he keeps saying, Doc, this is so heavy. This time travel is so heavy. I don't understand. And Doc Brown says, Marty, is there a problem with gravity in the future? Because he thinks he's talking about something that's literally difficult to lift instead of a concept that is mentally, emotionally, or spiritually difficult to accept. And so today, friends, I have to be the Marty McFry and tell you that the prophetic study that we're about to embark on is heavy. Now, if you are a young person and you are considering joining the John the Preacher Junior Ministers program, when you do your public speaking, you'll want to always remember to include a joke in the beginning to break the ice and make your audience feel more comfortable. This is especially true if you're discussing a topic as severe as end times, which we are today. I was watching the television with my wife, Ginny, and we saw a documentary about pole shift, and the Spirit showed me the Pacific Ocean rising 2 miles high with mud, water, and debris, and swallowing up every major city on every major coast. I saw 1,000-mile-an-hour winds whipping around the globe. On one side, the earth opened up and liquid hot magma swallowed all the evildoers. And on the other side, the temperature dropped 180 degrees instantly, and everything was frozen in 4 hours. Now, every culture has a flood myth. There's Noah in the Bible. The Mayan have the Huracan flood. The Hawaiians have the Nu'u flood. The Sumerians, the Epic of Gilgamesh. In fact, there are 40 different cultures with 40 different flood myths, which, friends, we can only come to one conclusion. This has happened at least 40 different times in the history of the earth, and it's about to happen again. I said, Lord, when will these things take place? And I went into deep prayer and meditation, and after carefully considering a number of very specific scriptures and consulting the angelic beings, I was shown that the end of time is March 12th, 2023, and the great battle of Armageddon will take place and rid this world of this wicked society once and for all. Isn't it a blessing, folks? It's wonderful. You can read all about it in this week's Wake Up magazine. Make sure you subscribe and make sure that you are following this life-saving vital information in the Wake Up magazine. Now, when exactly on that day, we don't know. You will find, if you turn your Bibles, please, to Matthew chapter 24, verse 36. But concerning that day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels of heaven nor the Son, but the Father only. Don't be deceived, friends, if anybody's out there telling you it's going to take place at 11:45 or 11:15. Don't believe them. They're a false prophet out there. Evidently, Jesus spoke about the last hour worker. It will take place between 10 and midnight at some point. We don't know when, depending on the time change and daylight savings. We'll have to see. No one knows. Now, what can we do to save ourselves? Well, you have to subscribe to John the Preacher, and you have to go to www.patreon.com/John the Preacher and subscribe at any level. The incentive there is that you will find out the location where we will meet and be safely gathered on the mountaintop. It'll be a mountaintop located in North America, God's chosen continent, and we will meet there in safety and survive the coming pole shift. Now, friends, please join me in prayer. Lord, please put it in the hearts of the wicked and the unrepentant to come to their senses and subscribe to John the Preacher and become a patron at patreon.com/John the Preacher, so that the location will be revealed to them where we will meet on the mountain and we can save as many souls as possible. Amen. Finally, friends, please open your angelic harmony song skins to page 607 and join me in singing Yahweh's Rod.
We hunger for the sacred blood, living saints are we. Yahweh wields his mighty rod to smash his enemies. We judge them wicked people who, John the Preacher says, have unbelieving goats like souls and prideful puffed our heads.
Well, there you have it.
What happens when the prostate enlarges and the urine channel gets tight? If you have an enlarged prostate, do this 15-second Japanese morning ritual to shrink it almost immediately.
Here we go.
If you've been suffering from frequent urges to pee,
I'm still
a weak
figuring
urine
this
flow,
out.
or reduced drive in the bedroom for more than 3 months, then pay close attention. It means that your prostate is so swollen that if left untreated...
Okay, there we go. Okay. Sorry
Weird.
about that. There. Got rid of that. Prostate exam. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, that was good. That was a good video. So
Thanks.
what happened? You grew a beard since you did that video.
Well, if you notice, I have to wear.
Just hold on. What's that, Shauna? You're behind me. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I was just having some background commentary. Go ahead, John.
If you notice, I have a beard for 3 of the 4 characters or aspects of John the Preacher. Like, I'm doing a New Age one this weekend, and I'm going to be going after the Scientologists. So that'll be out a week from Friday. They'll be out this coming Friday. So I have to have a beard. I have to shave when it's time to do the evangelical witness character.
So you grew a beard pretty quick.
Yeah.
So you can hop from character to character just by growing beards, because you look way different without the beard.
Yeah, well, when I do that's why I time it. So I have to do the Doomsday Prepper character with the fake beard. That gives me a little time to grow it out while I'm getting ready to do the next. So I do these like on a cycle, and it's largely based on my facial hair.
That's cool. That's good to know the backstory. Now we have one more video. Do we have time for one more video?
Yeah, one more.
Okay, so I know you could probably watch this in the background, John, but we have one more video. It's called, I'm just looking at it here, John the Preacher. Yeah, it's that. What is that? I showed you. So are we okay to do this video, John? Should we do this other video while we're at it? Okay, I'm going to disappear here, and then John will disappear, and we'll put this other video up. And there. It's this one.
Yeah, this one we're going to be getting into the Mormons a little bit. This strays into ex-Mormon territory.
Okay.
Greetings, congregation YouTube. It's John the Preacher. Welcome, friends. We have several big announcements and exciting developments to share with you today, one of which concerns your money and your bank. But first, and most importantly, I need to share with you that it has been revealed to me that we are currently living in the Great Tribulation. You can read all about it in the latest issue of Wake Up magazine. It all began on March 12th, as was predicted by me, John the Preacher. Please make sure that you're subscribed to the Wake Up magazine. And friends, please turn your Bibles with me to Matthew chapter 24. Verse 21. For there will be great tribulation, such has not been from the beginning of the world until now, no, and never will be. If you recall, I had identified March the 12th as a special date. I climbed up on Survival Mountain that night. I went up on the rooftop, and I waited, and I waited. And I'll confess to you that even John the Preacher was beginning to have doubts. When I climbed down the mountain, I saw walking towards me the angelic being. He invited me onto the Rauk Adonai, which, as it turns out, is a beautiful starship. I met the whole host of them. They sang angelic harmonies in their holy tongue, and they celebrated the good news that was being presented to me in the sacred tablet. After we parted ways, I continued down the path, and the Spirit of the Lord passed by me. The interpretation of the writings was implanted in me, and I immediately stopped and made a YouTube short and uploaded it here for you. I've since had time to decipher the writings, and that's why I'm so pleased to be here sharing it with you in this service here, Congregation YouTube. The good news is that on March the 12th, there was indeed a pole shift. This was always meant to be understood as a spiritual pole shift. What does this mean, friends? Well, it means that we are going to see the rivers and lakes and seas boil and dry up like a bone. We're going to see the ice caps melt. We're going to see massive crop failures and famine. The four horsemen will ride. But March the 12th was not the end. It was the beginning of the end. It was the beginning of the collapse of the financial system. On March the 12th, SVB collapsed. That's the Silicon Valley Bank. Silicon Valley, the Devil's Valley Bank collapsed, and all the rest will soon follow. Why is this happening? I'll tell you why. Because the globalists are going to use it as an excuse to foister on us their digital central bank currency, and they're going to try to use it to control us with their one world government in the New World Order. And when they roll out that Fed coin, they're going to try to make us accept their mark of the beast digital currency. But we can't do that, friends. I know it looks grim, but that's why I saved the most special announcement for the end here. It was revealed to me in the tablet that the Lord, because of the Great Tribulation and the collapse of the financial system, the hardship that will bring on all of us, the Lord has decided to end tithing. That's right. If you've been giving 10% of your income to one church or another, you can immediately end that practice. That's right. Tithing is ended. The Lord has ended tithing and has brought in fiving. That's right, friends. You can immediately begin fiving with John the Preacher. That's right. You just give 5% of your income to John the Preacher, and you will receive twice the blessings. That's half of your money, half of your income that you used to give to some other church is freed up for you now. You just give 5% to John the Preacher, and you will get double the blessings. You will reap the whirlwind. As soon as you sow that seed, you will reap the whirlwind of financial blessings, even in these difficult times. And friends, it's with that good news I ask that you join me in a closing prayer. Lord, help the wicked and unrepentant realize that they need to subscribe to Wake Up magazine so that they can know that we are living in the Great Tribulation, and that they need to start fiving immediately, giving 5% of their income to John the Preacher so that they can get all of the blessings possible in this time of financial collapse. Please help them to understand that they can go to patreon.com/John the Preacher and give there as much as they possibly can. Please put it in their hearts, Lord, that they need to like this video, subscribe, and share it with as many people as possible so that we can save the many. Amen.
Love it. Okay, so let's get back in here. There's John.
Drinking warm water before bed eliminates type 2 in weeks.
No,
Thousands of people are regaining control of their blood sugar every night as they sleep by adding one unusual ingredient to a glass of warm water before bed.
YouTube, eh? I thought I shut the autoplay off, but I'm still working on getting to know my way around this studio. So now,
I love the picture you chose, by the way, for that.
What's that?
I love the picture you chose, by the way, of me with the robe and the crazy hair with the.
Oh, good. Didn't offend you, eh?
No, that's nice choice.
Okay, we're gonna move you back. There. There, so that pretty well wraps up our show for today. Any last words, John, that you want to say to the audience?
Well, obviously, like you saw, a lot of the elements for the ex-witness community are there in that evangelical one. You got the Wake Up magazine. You got the Angelic Harmonies instead of the Kingdom Ministries. And gee, what else do we do? I don't know. Oh yeah, if you watch, there's like some ministry part too, like with the prayer chariots, but I'll leave it at that. I hope if anybody's watching, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps. I don't know, maybe Vern, if you're able, you could throw a link in the description or something.
Yeah, Sean has already
they could check it out. And yeah, I guess if we're out of time, thank you, Vern, for.
Yeah. Well, we can keep talking. You know, I think on the community, there's other shows coming up, other lives, other creators are doing other lives. So we like to keep it to an hour and a half, kind of a thing. Now, it doesn't mean that you and I, this is our first meeting. I really enjoyed getting to know you, getting to know the creative side of you in putting all these characters together. That's a lot of fun. And that's a lot of work. And I know how much work that is to create characters and to all the work. I see all the work in there. Tons of work. So I hope that you do get some patrons, do get some supporters. I think it's important for our channel, for our EXJW community, to have laughter. I think you do a beautiful job. I like what you did with the aliens and the Mormons, and you threw a bit of that in there.
Yeah.
Really, really good stuff. Keep up the good work. Fiving. Now we got to get fiving and support John the Preacher. So everyone out there, you know, we want to support each other in the community.
Don't give me 5% of your income. Don't actually do that. That's a bad idea.
10%?
A couple bucks if you can, but yeah, it's the Patreon thing is just the joke of
we
how
know
these
that.
people
Yeah.
are making for money.
Yeah. Even we won't get into that. It's another show. But yeah, we will team up in the future, and this is just a first. So thank you very much, John, for coming on, and thanks to your good wife for helping you with all these movies. A lot of work at her end too.
Yeah, and I also with my friend Noah does all of the graphic images, the Wake Up magazines. If you notice, there's like a lot of beautiful imagery in all of the video. He's like my right hand man. I could not do the channel without him. And he's also a former witness.
Wow. So there's quite a community on the other side, and it'd be cool if we could kind of pull some of that together, and maybe we'll be watching you in studios and plays. There's
Yeah.
one that came out in Canada here. CBC's run it. I ran a little article on it. It's a different kind of a one. It was on queer, what it's like to be in the organization and have an alternate lifestyle. So there's different plays coming out professionally, and for your dream of being in there and being big, this is a good place to start. Why not? I think this whole EXJW community is going to grow. I believe that people are going to be leaving in the droves, and they're going to be coming online, looking for entertainment, looking for support, looking for a community, and that's what this is all about, in my opinion. So thanks for joining us. And
Thanks for having me. It's been a real pleasure. Thanks to you and Shauna for producing and doing what you do. It's beautiful. I love you.
Well,
Namaste.
Thanks again, John. We'll see you later. Bye for now.
Bye.
Well, thank you.